Welcome everyone to Tech Tuesday. We'll be here about 20 minutes. I'm going to show you how you can use GoGuardian scenes to help monitor your students in the classroom. So what are scenes? Scenes are designed to give teachers added control over students' web activity during classroom sessions. So we know that we can monitor our students in GoGuardian and kind of see their activity. We can close screens for them. We can send them to sites. We can take screenshots. But you can also set something that's called a scene. So there are two types of scene. One is an allowed websites list, which means that students can only access the websites that you allow. Everything else will be blocked. So this is helpful if you want to keep students focused on quiz, test, or assignment. The other is a blocked websites list. So this means that students can access any website except what you block. So this is good if you have some educational game sites that you have your students going to, but you don't want them to go to it during a specific lesson, or you could block YouTube during a lesson because you don't want them to go wandering off. So it is up to you what you choose to put in the blocked or allowed lists. So let me show you how to get into that. So first, remember when we go to GoGuardian, we go through Clever and we just click on the GoGuardian tile, and then we land in our GoGuardian account. So I have a GoGuardian demo class set up where I've got 2 students. And I'm not going to start my class yet because first I'm going to set up the scene. So on the left-hand side, you will see scenes over here, and simply click on that. And you will get those screenshots that I showed in the presentation. You choose choices to make an allowed list or a blocked list. And you can make as many lists as you want. And then you would apply those scenes to your specific site. So let's start with an allowed websites list. So remember, this is where students can only access websites you allowed. So for example, if we were using it for the benchmarks and we wanted to keep students on the pages for the benchmarks, you could just click Create List, and we're going to name this list. So what's really nice about GoGuardian is it takes you through the steps. So it's step 1, and then it goes through, okay? So I'm just going to name this benchmarks. You have the option to add a description, optional, and you can also change and color code it if you want as well. I'm just going to leave it blue, okay? Then you just click Next. So here our list is empty. So what's really great about some of the features that are built into Illuminate is they do have what's called quick lists. So these are pre-made lists that you could use, okay? We don't have any district ones that are made, but we're working on that. We actually want to create one for benchmark so that it would just be there for you. But let's say you were doing something in Kahoot and you wanted to just add all the Kahoot sites. You would just check that and it would add all the specific Kahoot sites. If you want to see what those sites are, you simply click on the down arrow and you can see the websites. If you want to look more deeply into that, you can click on it and it will show you what that site is. Okay? So there's a few already set up here. G Suite is nice if you just want them to stay in like the Google ecosystem, you could check that. Okay? So I'm going to click that for stay away from, yes, I'm sure I want to cancel. I want to build my own. So here I'm just going to type here because I don't know all the websites that you need for Illuminate. So I'm going to type in Illuminate, okay, and click search. So what happens is it populates with some websites from Illuminate. Now, as I look through here, I know that this testing.illuminate ed, that is probably the website that we use for testing. If you want to look at it, you can click on it. It will open up a new tab, and it's showing that I'm not logged in, and that's fine because it's a website that I know my students want to visit, okay? So you could then just click Add and just continue through here adding the ones that you would want. Illuminate HC, that's where our students land. No, this doesn't look like where our students land, but they could type in their school district's name. So you could just add that as well, okay? So you won't allow any of these that look like our district, things we would use in Illuminate. Now, if you look here, these are specific to different districts. We don't want to add those because that's not our district, right? But since our district does have a specific website, You could also go to the district website and go to the student resource links and click on Illuminate here. That's the one I want. You just take that website, copy it, and then you come back over here to your scene, and you could actually just paste that here, and there it is there, and you can just add it there. Okay? So you can add your own websites by just pasting them here as well. So you can see I have all of these websites for Illuminate. I also know they're Illuminate because they have this the Illuminate icon. Here's some things you need to know. If you plan on having your students access this through Google Classroom, you would want to add Google Classroom as an allowed site. Otherwise, your students will be like, I can't get onto Google Classroom. So you can just add here Google Classroom and then add that website. So that way they can go to a Google Classroom site to get, maybe you drop the link for your test in there, okay? Now this message came up here and it says students may be redirected to additional websites when they go to the websites we added. So then this is saying to allow all of the Google in. That's the Google sign-in page. So if it's recommending that you do it, go ahead and click add, just to give you that extra cushion. But I'm going to show you what happens if a student goes somewhere and you do want to allow a website for students. So here's all of the pages for our students. And then I click save. So now I have that here, benchmarks. You can always edit it by clicking here. You can edit, you can rename, you can make a copy of it. If you wanted to add more things to it, you have like benchmark 1, maybe you have a different benchmark 1 that you want to just change the name of. So you have like, okay, I want all the Illuminate stuff, but I want to add some more. You can make a copy of it and then edit it that way as well. So once they're set up, they'll all be listed here. Blocked websites works the opposite of that. So this is, they can go anywhere except where you tell them not to go. So for example, I have added one called AV block. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So I have blocked all audio and video. So I've blocked YouTube, I've blocked Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud. So I just added those over here so that I have them. I don't want my students going to Spotify or Pandora. Now, know that if they're on the district website, at the district filter, it's probably going to block them from those anyway. But YouTube is open for students, so we want to keep them off of that during class for this particular scene. Know that if you block YouTube and then you have a video for your students, it will be blocked. So keep that in mind. Okay. But again, if you wanted to add, let's say you wanted to add something else for music, you actually can just type in music and you'll see some of these other things that pop up. So Apple Music, I'm going to put that on there. Okay. So you can start adding more things. Google Play, let's take that. So you can just add as many as you want and then just save. So that's how you can edit your blocked websites or any of your scenes. So once they're all set up, they are ready to be applied when you start a session. So from your classrooms, so here's my class. I'm going to start my class. It's loading my students' screens. Once my students' screens are loaded, you'll see, okay, this is saying the student's been idle. Yes, because I loaded before the session started. So my demo student and my digital student. So now that I'm here, I go over here where it says no scene applied, and I can choose my scene. So I'm going to choose the benchmarks one. And now the scene is updated. So if one of my students, so I'm going to go ahead and click this to expand. Okay, so here's my student. And they are actually in their Google Classroom. And I have them on another screen over here. And I am going to, they have an assignment here. And their assignment is for Newsela. But that is not a site that I allowed. So I'm going to click on Newsela. And I want to show you what the students will see on their screen. They will get this message saying, hey, looks like you've used a website your teacher doesn't want you to go to now. because right now I want them doing their Illuminate test. So let's say what's happened is they've finished their Illuminate test, and I told them, hey, by the way, when you're finished, go to Google Classroom and open up the Newsela assignment, but I forgot to unblock it. What's really neat is I can click here and I can click unblock for the whole class so that the whole class will now have access to it. So basically it's keeping my scene set, but I can allow certain sites in as needed. Okay, so I'm just going to click unblock for class. I'm going to unblock the whole site and it's going to add it to my scene or only that page. So I'm going to unblock the whole site because I have told my students I want them to go to Newsela and work on their assignments. So I can unblock that site and it's going to be added to my scene, update my scene, and now the student will have access to Newsela. So if your students end up going somewhere, since you're monitoring and you can see that they're going somewhere where you've given them that directive to go, then it will allow them in. You can unblock it for everyone because you forgot to put it in your scene. But they are in Newsela and they can go to any of their assignments. Great way if you're on the fly and you set up your scene, but you forgot to add a website that you told them to go to, you can just click on that to allow for everyone. So if the student then decided to go to, let's say they decided to go to YouTube, okay, they would get that error message and I could just click close because I don't want them going to YouTube. So it really gives you a lot more control over what your students are using. So if you do set it up like for benchmarks or for a test or something and you forgot to add a site, know that you can just click unblock the whole site. So you can add it quickly to if the kids are like, oh, I can't get there. What happened, Mrs. Graham? You can just go into GoGuardian and unblock it for everyone. Or you can just close it. Okay? And that'll close the tab for that student and take them back to their other tab. Okay? And that process works the same way for blocking. Okay. So you can only apply one scene at a time though. So I've got benchmarks. If I set up benchmarks, but then afterwards benchmarks was over, you can disable the scene and then let them just go wherever you want. So testing, you gave them their test and then you wanted to move on to something else. You can disable the scene and now they can go wherever they want because you'll see there's no scene applied. So you can change that live in the middle of your session. You're not stuck with it for the whole session. And then when your session is over, just click end session. And it's crucial that you do end your session because if you don't end your session, the scene may stay stuck to your students and they will go to another class and that teacher's trying to monitor them and they're stuck in your scene. There's things that teacher would have, extra steps that teacher would have to do. Now, if you're in elementary, not an issue because they're probably all in your class, so it doesn't matter. Okay. End session, and then you are back to rooms. Any questions on setting up scenes or running scenes? And if you do have any questions, you can always email digitalcoaches@mylusd.org so that we can help you that way.